Have you ever found yourself in a conversation where you understand exactly what the other person is saying, but when they stop talking and look at you, your mind suddenly goes completely blank? It is a frustrating feeling. You nod, you smile, maybe you say a simple yes or no, but deep down, you know you wanted to say so much more. You wanted to connect, to share your opinion, or to tell a joke, but the bridge between your ears and your mouth seems to be broken. You are not alone in this experience. In fact, this is the most common hurdle for B1 intermediate learners. You have the vocabulary and you have the grammar, but the speed of real conversation feels overwhelming. Today, we are going to fix that. We are going to take your listening skills and turn them directly into speaking power. I am Alex, and welcome to English in Fluency. By the end of this session, you won't just be listening to English, you will be ready to respond naturally, confidently, and without that long, awkward pause. If you are ready to finally find your voice, let's get started. To begin, we need to change the way you view listening. Most people think listening is a passive activity, like watching a movie, but in a real conversation, listening is active. It is the fuel for your speaking engine. The secret to responding naturally is not to translate from your native language to English in your head. That takes too much time. The secret is to use what you just heard to build what you are going to say. I call this the echo and add technique. It is simple. You take a piece of what the other person said, you echo it back to validate them, and then you add your own thought. This removes the pressure to come up with a brand new sentence from scratch. We are going to practice this today through distinct stories. I want you to relax and just listen to the flow of the conversation. Do not worry about every single word. Focus on the emotion and the reaction. Imagine a warm, busy coffee shop on a rainy Tuesday morning. The smell of roasted beans is in the air, and the sound of rain is tapping against the window. We see two friends, Leo and Mia. Leo looks a bit stressed. His hair is wet, and he is shaking off his umbrella. Mia is sitting comfortably with a warm cup of tea. Listen closely to how they interact, especially how Mia responds to Leo's stress. Leo sighs heavily and pulls out a chair. He says that he cannot believe this morning. The bus was late, he forgot his wallet at home, and now he is completely soaked. He tells Mia that he feels like the universe is trying to tell him to just go back to bed. Mia looks at him with a sympathetic smile. She does not just say, "Okay." She leans in and says, "That sounds like an absolute nightmare, Leo." She asks if he wants her to buy him a coffee to help restart his day. Leo smiles, looking relieved, and says, "That would be amazing," and admits he is dying for a caffeine fix. He adds that he will pay her back tomorrow. Mia waves her hand and tells him not to worry about it, as it is her treat. She suggests they just sit for a moment and breathe before he has to head to the office. Now, let us pause and look at that interaction deeply. When Leo complained about his bad morning, Mia did not just say, "Sorry." That would be too short and would end the conversation. Instead, she used emotional mirroring. Leo was stressed, so she used strong words to match his feeling. She said, "That sounds like an absolute nightmare." This is a great phrase for you to learn. When someone tells you bad news or a stressful story, responding with, "That sounds terrible," or "What a nightmare," instantly connects you to them. It shows you are really listening. Notice also that she immediately followed up with an offer. She asked if he wanted her to buy him a coffee. This is the add part of the technique. She echoed his emotion and added a solution. This keeps the conversation moving forward. If you are stuck in a conversation, try to offer help or ask a question related to their problem. It takes the pressure off you to be interesting, and it makes you a good friend. Let's try a simulation together. Imagine I am Leo. I look at you and I say that I am so tired because I worked until midnight yesterday. How would you respond naturally? Do not just say, "Oh, really?" Try to mirror my emotion. You could say something like, "That sounds exhausting, Alex. Did you at least finish your project? Do you see how that works?" You acknowledge the tiredness and you ask a question. It is a simple formula, but it makes you sound like a native speaker. We are going to move to a slightly more formal setting now. Many of you need English for your jobs, and the workplace can be scary because you are afraid of making mistakes in front of your boss. But the rules are actually very similar. We are going to meet Sarah and Mr. Chen. Sarah is a junior employee, and Mr. Chen is her manager. They are discussing a new marketing plan in a meeting room. Listen to how Sarah disagrees with her boss without being rude. This is a very important skill at the B1 level. Mr. Chen looks at the chart on the wall and says that he thinks they should focus all their advertising on social media next month, because that is where the young people are. He asks Sarah what she thinks. Sarah hesitates for a second, thinking carefully. She says that she sees his point, and social media is definitely important. But she is worried they might miss out on older customers who read newspapers. She suggests that maybe they could do a mix of both strategies. Mr. Chen nods slowly and says that is a valid point. He admits he had not considered the older demographic. He asks Sarah to draft a plan that includes both. This conversation is pure gold for learning how to navigate professional disagreements. When Mr. Chen gave an opinion that Sarah didn't 100% agree with, she didn't say, "No, you are wrong." In English, that is too direct and can be considered rude. Instead, she used a soft opener. She said, "I see your point." This is a perfect phrase. It tells the listener that you respect their idea. Then, she used the word "but" to introduce her concern. "I see your point, but I am worried about older customers." This structure, validate then correct, is the key to professional fluency. It gives you time to think. While you are saying, "I see your point," your brain is preparing the next part of the sentence. Let's practice this structure. I am your boss. I say to you that we should have a meeting every single morning at 7 a.m. to increase productivity. You probably think this is a bad idea because it is too early. How do you respond naturally? You could say, "I understand that we need to be productive, but 7 a.m. might be too early for some people commuting from far away." This response is polite, professional, and complex. It shows you have a B1 plus level of control. You are not just reacting, you are managing the conversation. Now, let's lighten the mood. We have talked about stress and work, but what about fun? English is also about making plans, excitement, and sharing joy. Let's listen to our third story with David and Elena. They are standing in a park on a sunny Saturday afternoon. They are trying to decide what to do for the rest of the weekend. This type of conversation is usually fast and full of interruptions, which can be hard to follow. Let's see how they handle it. David looks at the blue sky and says that the weather is finally perfect. He asks Elena if she has any plans for tomorrow, because he was thinking they could maybe drive to the beach. Elena's eyes light up. She says that she loves that idea. She mentions that she hasn't been to the ocean in months. She asks David if he wants to pack a picnic, or if they should just buy fish and chips when they get there. David laughs and says that fish and chips are a must. He tells her he will pick her up at 10 o'clock. Elena agrees and says she will bring the music. The energy here is different. It is faster. When David suggests the beach, Elena responds with high energy. She says, "I love that idea. If you want to sound natural, your tone of voice is just as important as your words." If she said, "I love that idea," with a flat, robot voice, David would think she was being sarcastic. In English, we use intonation to show enthusiasm. Also, notice how she immediately expanded the plan. She gave two options: pack a picnic or buy food. This is called the option strategy. When someone suggests a plan and you want to keep the conversation going, offer choices. It makes the dialogue dynamic. Let's try this one. I am your friend David. I say to you, "Hey, let's go to the cinema tonight." You want to go, and you want to suggest a genre. You could say, "That sounds great. Do you want to see a comedy or an action movie?" By asking a question with "or," you force the conversation to continue back and forth like a game of tennis. You are hitting the ball back to me. If you just said, "Okay," the conversation stops. We want to avoid stopping. We want flow. I want to take a moment to talk about what happens when you do not understand. This is the biggest fear for language learners. You are in the middle of a chat with someone like Mia or Mr. Chen, and they use a word you have never heard before. You freeze. You nod and pretend to understand. But then, you get lost. I am here to tell you that natural speakers ask for clarification all the time. It is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of confidence. Imagine Mr. Chen said, "We need to leverage our assets." And you do not know what leverage means. A beginner would stay silent. A confident B1 speaker would say, "I am sorry, I didn't catch that last part. What do you mean by leverage?" Or simply, "Could you explain that in a different way?" There is a beautiful phrase I want you to memorize. I'm not quite sure I follow. It is polite and very native. It sounds much better than just saying, "I don't understand." We have established the basics of reacting, but now we need to move past just surviving a conversation to actually driving it. We are going to look at how to move from small talk to deep talk, how to use listening sounds to keep the other person speaking, and how to buy yourself time when your brain needs a few seconds to catch up. Let's start with a situation that happens to everyone. You are at a social gathering, maybe a dinner party or a barbecue. You meet someone new. The conversation usually starts very shallow. You talk about the weather, the food, or how you know the host. Most B1 learners get stuck here. They answer questions, but the conversation dies after 2 minutes. The secret to keeping it alive is the follow-up ladder. This means you start with a simple fact, and then you climb up to an opinion, and finally to a story. Let's observe Tom and Lisa. They are at a friend's house for dinner. They are standing near the kitchen island, holding plates of food. Listen to how Lisa moves the conversation from boring to interesting. Tom takes a bite of the lasagna and says that the food is really good. He mentions that he is usually not a fan of pasta, but this is different. Now, a basic listener would just say, "Yes, it is delicious," But Lisa wants to connect. She looks at Tom and asks what specifically makes it different for him. She asks if it is the sauce or the cheese. Tom thinks for a moment and says it is the sauce because it reminds him of a trip he took to Italy years ago. He says it tastes authentic. Lisa smiles and immediately grabs that thread. She asks him whereabouts in Italy he went, because she has always wanted to go to Florence. Suddenly, they are not talking about lasagna anymore. They are talking about travel, memories, and dreams. Notice what happened there. Lisa did not just agree with Tom. She got curious. She used a specific question. What makes it different? To force Tom to give more detail. This is a superpower for English learners. If you are worried about your own speaking, the best strategy is to make the other person speak more. By asking open-ended questions like, "Why do you think that?" or "How did that happen?" or "What was your favorite part?" you take the spotlight off yourself. You become the interviewer. This gives you time to listen, relax, and absorb their vocabulary. And the best part? People love talking about themselves. If you ask good questions, people will think you are a fantastic conversationalist, even if you don't speak much. Let's practice this follow-up ladder right now. Imagine we are at that same party. I come up to you and I say, "I finally watched that new superhero movie everyone is talking about." If you just say, "Did you like it?" that is a closed question. It ends with yes or no. I want you to ask me an open question that forces me to tell a story. Think for a second. Did you think of something like, "What was the best scene?" Or, "How did it compare to the comic book?" Or, "Why do you think everyone loves it so much?" Any of those questions opens a door. It invites me to step through and share my world with you. Now, let's talk about silence. In many cultures, silence is respectful. In English conversation, especially in the US and UK, long silences can feel awkward. We feel the need to fill the air. But as a learner, sometimes you are silent because you are processing. The problem is, if you stare at someone silently while they are talking, they might think you don't understand, or that you are bored. We fix this with back-channeling. These are the small sounds and short words we use while the other person is talking to show we are with them. Words like, "Really?" "No way." "Uh-huh." "Right," and "exactly." Let's look at a scenario between two neighbors, Julia and Ben. They are standing by the fence in their garden. Julia has some shocking news about the neighborhood. Watch how Ben uses back-channeling to encourage her without interrupting her flow. Julia leans over the fence and whispers that he will never guess what happened at number 42 last night. She says the police were there at 3 a.m. Ben's eyes go wide, and he says, "No way." Julia nods vigorously and continues, saying that apparently someone tried to steal their garden gnome collection. Ben laughs and says, "You're kidding." Julia says she is serious, and that they caught the guy running down the street holding a ceramic elf. Ben shakes his head and says, "That is unbelievable." So, did they get the gnome back? Ben only spoke a few words. "No way." "You're kidding." And "That is unbelievable." But he was an active part of the conversation. His reactions gave Julia the energy to keep telling the funny story. Now, we need to address a very practical problem. What happens when you are asked a difficult question and your mind goes blank? Not because you don't know the words, but because you need to think. You cannot just freeze. You need filler phrases. These are phrases that buy you time. Native speakers use them constantly. Phrases like, "That is a good question," or "Let me think about that for a second," or "How can I put this?" or "Well, actually." These phrases act like a buffer. They tell the listener, "I am going to answer. Just give me a moment." Let's step into a job interview setting, which is high pressure. We have Mark, the candidate, and Ms. Lewis, the interviewer. Ms. Lewis asks a tough behavioral question. Listen to how Mark buys time before answering. Ms. Lewis looks at Mark's resume and asks him to describe a time he failed at a project and how he handled it. This is a scary question. Mark doesn't panic. He takes a breath. He nods and says, "That is a really interesting question. Let me recall a specific example." He pauses for 2 seconds. He then says, "Actually, there was a project last year where I missed a deadline because of a communication error." By using the phrase, "That is a really interesting question," and "Let me recall," Mark bought himself about 5 seconds of thinking time. That 5 seconds is the difference between a panicked answer and a smart answer. Using fillers is not a bad habit. It is a fluency strategy. It prevents the sound that many people make. Instead of say, "You know, that's interesting." It makes you sound in control. We are building a toolkit here. You have the echo and add, the follow-up ladder to go deeper, back channeling to show you are listening, and filler phrases to buy time. But now we are going to face the boss level of listening skills. We are going to talk about the telephone. I know just hearing that word might make your stomach tight. When you are face to face, you can read my lips, you can see my hands, and you can see my smile. But on the phone, all of that disappears. You are left alone with the voice, the static, and the fear of missing a critical detail. But do not worry. Today I am going to give you a safety net. Let's start with the phone. The biggest mistake learners make on the phone is pretending they understand because they are afraid of being annoying. You nod your head, even though no one can see you, and you hang up realizing you have no idea what just happened. To fix this, we need a technique called immediate verification. This means you do not wait until the end of the call to check information. You check it piece by piece. Let's listen to Kevin. Kevin is calling a busy dental clinic to reschedule his appointment. The receptionist is speaking very fast, and there is background noise. Listen to how Kevin takes control of the pace. The receptionist picks up and says that unfortunately, the only slot they have left is next Tuesday at 3:30 in the afternoon, or the following Thursday at 10:15. She asks which one he prefers. This is a lot of information at once. Kevin does not just say Tuesday. He pauses. He says, "Just to double check, that is Tuesday the 12th at 3:30 p.m., right?" The receptionist confirms. Kevin then says, "Okay, I will take that one." Then the receptionist says he needs to bring his ID and insurance card. Kevin again uses verification. He says, "Sorry, the connection is a bit bad. You said ID and insurance card, correct?" Kevin did 2 brilliant things here. First, he repeated the specific numbers back to her. Tuesday the 12th at 3:30. This forces the other person to listen to you and confirm you are right. It turns the listening test into a speaking confirmation. Second, he blamed the technology, not his English. He said, "The connection is a bit bad." This is a perfect social trick. Even if the connection is perfect and you just didn't hear the word, Blaming the bad line or the noise saves face. It makes the other person speak clearer and louder without you feeling embarrassed. Let's practice this specific skill. I am going to act as a travel agent. I am going to give you a flight number. It will be fast. I want you to respond by verifying the number. Ready? Okay, so your flight is BA249, leaving from Terminal 5. Now, verify it with me. Did you say, could you repeat that? Was it Terminal 5? Or, just to confirm, that is flight BA249. If you repeated the number, you win. This habit will save you from missing flights, meetings, and important dates. Now that we have handled the phone, let's move to something more fun, but equally challenging. Storytelling. Have you ever started telling a story in English, but halfway through, you realize you are rambling? You get stuck in the details, you lose the point, and the person listening starts looking at their watch. To tell a good story, you need signposts. These are small words that tell the listener where the story is going. We use words like so to start, suddenly for a surprise, and the most important word of all, anyway. Anyway is your rescue word. If you get lost in a detail that doesn't matter, just say anyway to get back to the main point. Let's observe Anita and Raj having coffee. Anita is telling Raj about a disastrous date she went on. Listen for the signposts she uses to keep Raj interested. Anita takes a sip of her latte and says, "So, I met this guy online, and he looked normal in his photos." Raj nods. Anita continues, "We agreed to meet at this fancy Italian restaurant. At first, everything was fine. We were talking about our jobs. But then, things got weird." Raj leans in and asks what happened. Anita laughs and says, "Well, he started ordering all this food in Italian, but he was saying the names completely wrong. The waiter was so confused. It was so awkward. I didn't know where to look. Anyway, the worst part was when the bill arrived, he realized he forgot his wallet." Did you hear the structure? She started with so to set the scene. She used at first to show the normal situation. She used but then to introduce the problem. And when she felt she was talking too much about the awkwardness, she used anyway to jump to the climax of the story, the forgotten wallet. This structure, introduction, normal, problem, anyway, climax, works for almost every story. It keeps your speaking tight and organized. I want you to try this. Think of a time you lost something, maybe your keys or your phone. I want you to tell that story to the screen right now, but you must use the word suddenly and the word anyway. I will give you a moment. Start with, "So, I was..." Did you manage to get to the end? Using anyway feels like a magic button, doesn't it? It signals to your brain and the listener that we are moving to the conclusion. It stops the panic of, how do I finish this sentence? Now, let's tackle a delicate social situation. Interrupting. In many cultures, interrupting is rude. In others, it shows you are excited. In English, there is a polite interruption zone. Sometimes you need to interrupt because the speaker is going too fast, or because you have a great idea that fits right now. If you just shout your idea, it's aggressive. If you raise your hand like a student, it's weird. You need the soft entry. This involves using phrases like, "Sorry to jump in, but," or "Can I just add something here?" or "Before we move on, I wanted to mention." Let's look at a business meeting context. We have a team discussing a new project. The manager, Mr. Henderson, is talking for a long time. Liam, a team member, notices a mistake in the plan. He needs to stop Mr. Henderson before it's too late. Mr. Henderson is saying that they will launch the product in December because the weather is nice. He keeps talking about the marketing budget. Liam waits for Mr. Henderson to take a tiny breath. In that split second, Liam says, "Sorry to interrupt, Mr. Henderson, but I think we might have an issue with the December date." Mr. Henderson stops and looks at him. Liam continues, "Our factory is actually closed in December." Mr. Henderson blinks and says, "Oh, I completely forgot. Good catch, Liam." Notice that Liam apologized first. "Sorry to interrupt." Then he used the word "but." This softens the blow. He didn't say, "You are wrong." He said, "I think we might have an issue." This is diplomatic. It turns a confrontation into a collaboration. We have mastered the mechanics of conversation, but now we must touch on the heart of language learning. We are going to talk about feelings. The difference between a robot and a human is emotion. A robot can say, "I am sad." A human says, "I feel absolutely gutted." A robot says, "I am happy." A human says, "I am over the moon." To truly connect with native speakers, you need to upgrade your emotional vocabulary. Let's begin with a situation that is hard for everyone. Hearing bad news. Imagine your friend, let's call her Sarah, comes to you with her head down. She looks tired. She tells you that she didn't get the job she interviewed for last week. A beginner might say, "Don't worry, you will find another one." While that is true, it can feel a bit dismissive. It jumps straight to fixing the problem instead of feeling the pain. A natural B1 speaker stays in the moment with the person. We are going to look at a conversation between Sarah and her friend Mike. Listen to the words Mike uses to validate Sarah's disappointment. Sarah drops her bag on the floor and sighs. She says she got the email this morning, and they went with another candidate. She looks like she is about to cry. Mike does not smile. He keeps his voice low and soft. He says, "Oh, Sarah, I am so sorry. You must be so disappointed." Sarah nods and says she really wanted this one. Mike leans in and says, "I know how hard you worked for it. It is really their loss, honestly. How are you feeling right now?" Sarah says she is just tired of trying. Mike says, "I get that. It is completely normal to feel drained. Do you want to talk about it? Or do you just want to get some pizza and forget about it for tonight?" This interaction is perfect because Mike used 3 key strategies. First, he validated her feeling. "You must be so disappointed." This phrase, "you must be," is powerful empathy. You must be tired. You must be angry. It shows you understand their position. Second, he used a supportive phrase. "It is their loss." This is a classic idiom. It means the company made a mistake, not Sarah. It boosts her confidence. Third, he gave her the control option. He asked, "Do you want to talk or do you want pizza?" When people are sad, sometimes they want to vent, and sometimes they want distraction. Asking this question makes you the best kind of friend because you are giving them what they actually need, not just what you think they need. Let's practice this empathy skill. I am going to be your friend. I come to you and I say, "I just found out my landlord is selling my apartment, and I have to move out in 2 weeks. This is a stressful situation. I want you to respond using the 'you must be' structure. Did you say, 'Oh no, you must be so stressed,' or 'you must be panicked'? That is great. Now, follow it up with an offer of help. You could say, 'If you need help packing boxes, just let me know.' That combination of empathy plus action is what builds deep friendships in English. Now, let's flip the coin. Let's talk about extreme happiness. When someone shares good news, your job as a listener is to be a mirror. If they are excited, you need to be excited. If you respond to, "I just got engaged," with a calm, "Congratulations," it sounds flat. We need to turn up the volume. We need idioms of joy. We are going to meet Tom and Jessica. Jessica has just received amazing news. Watch how Tom acts as her hype man. Jessica runs into the room holding a letter. She is jumping up and down. She screams that she got into the university. Tom drops what he is holding. His eyes go wide. He shouts, "No way! Are you serious?" Jessica screams, "Yes!" Tom laughs loud and says, "That is incredible. I am absolutely over the moon for you. I knew you could do it." He gives her a high five. He asks her when she starts. Jessica says in September. Tom says, "We have to celebrate. Dinner is on me tonight. This is huge." Tom used some great vocabulary here. "I am over the moon." This is a very common British and American idiom that means extremely happy. He also used the phrase, "This is huge." We use this often for big life events, promotions, weddings, babies, new houses. It gives weight to the news. Also, notice his reaction started with disbelief. "No way," or "Get out of here." In English, acting a little bit shocked that something good happened is a way of showing excitement. It emphasizes how amazing the news is. Let's try a simulation. I am your colleague. I come to your desk and I whisper, "Hey, I just found out I am getting a promotion." I am whispering, so I don't want you to scream, but I want you to be intense. Respond to me using the phrase thrilled or happy for you. A perfect response would be a whispered, "Oh my gosh, really? That is amazing. I am so thrilled for you. You totally deserve it." Did you remember to add, "You deserve it"? That is the cherry on top. It tells me that my success is fair and earned. Now, we need to navigate a darker area. Anger and frustration. Sometimes you are the one who is angry, or the person you are talking to is venting. If you are angry, saying, "I am angry," is a bit childish. We have better words. We have furious, livid, or frustrated. But more importantly, we need to know how to calm someone down who is angry without making it worse. Let's observe a customer service situation, but apply it to friends. Let's look at David and his roommate Ben. Ben is angry because the internet has been down for 3 days. Ben is pacing around the living room. He says he is sick and tired of this internet company. He says he has been on hold for an hour and nobody is answering. He says it is ridiculous. David is sitting on the sofa. He knows that telling Ben to calm down is the worst thing to do. Never tell an angry person to calm down. Instead, David joins the frustration. He says, "I know, it is an absolute joke. I can't believe their service is this bad." Ben says, "Right? I am paying for nothing." David nods and says, "It is completely unacceptable. Look, why don't we go to the cafe down the street and use their Wi-Fi for now? Maybe you can call them again tomorrow when you are less annoyed." David used the alignment technique. He agreed with the anger. He called the situation a joke and unacceptable. By validating Ben's anger, Ben felt heard and naturally started to calm down. Then, David offered a solution that removed them from the stressful environment. If you find yourself in an argument or listening to a rant, use phrases like, "I get why you are upset. That sounds incredibly frustrating." Or, "You have every right to be mad." These phrases are like water on a fire. We are deep in the process now. You have learned to listen with empathy, to speak with emotion, and to manage the flow of conversation. Now, we are going to step into the arena of influence. This session is about diplomatic power. It is about getting what you want, whether that is a refund for a bad meal, a better price on a car, or simply convincing your friend to see the movie you want to see without ever being rude. Many learners are afraid to complain or negotiate because they think they will sound aggressive. They stay silent when they are unhappy. Today, we break that silence. We are going to learn the language of persuasion, the art of the soft complaint, and how to turn a no into a maybe. Let's start with a scenario that makes everyone nervous: sending food back at a restaurant. In many cultures, you might just wave the waiter over and say, "This is cold." In English, directness can sometimes be mistaken for rudeness. We use a specific structure I call the polite sandwich. You start with an apology, even though it's not your fault. You state the problem clearly, but softly, and you end with a proposed solution. Let's watch Oliver. He is at a nice bistro. He ordered a steak medium rare, but it has arrived completely well done and tough. He needs to fix this, but he doesn't want to ruin the mood of the dinner. The waiter walks by. Oliver raises his hand slightly and says, "Excuse me." The waiter stops. Oliver smiles, this is important, and says, "I am so sorry to be a pain, but I think there has been a little mix-up with my order." The waiter asks what is wrong. Oliver says, "I asked for medium rare, but this one is actually quite well done. It is a bit too tough for me to eat." The waiter looks at the plate. Oliver quickly adds, "Would it be possible to swap this for a new one? I would really appreciate it." The waiter apologizes immediately and takes the plate. Oliver says, "Thank you so much. I really appreciate your help." Let's analyze Oliver's script. He started with, "I am so sorry to be a pain." This is a classic British-American phrase. It disarms the waiter. It says, "I am a nice guy, not a difficult customer." Then he used the phrase, "a little mix-up." This suggests it was an accident, not incompetence. He didn't say, "You cooked it wrong." He said, "There has been a mix-up." Passive voice protects feelings. Finally, he used the magic phrase, "Would it be possible to—" This is your golden key. Would it be possible to change seats? Would it be possible to get the sauce on the side? It is impossible to say no to that phrase because it is so polite. Let's practice the polite sandwich. You are at a hotel. Your room is right next to the elevator, and it is very noisy. You want to change rooms. Step 1. Apologize, soften. Step 2. State the problem. Step 3. Ask for the solution. Try to speak the full sentence now. Did you come up with something like, "Hi, I am sorry to bother you, but my room is quite noisy because of the elevator. Would it be possible to move to a different room?" If you did, you sound like a VIP guest, not a complainer. Now, let's move to negotiation. You might think negotiation is only for business tycoons, but you negotiate every day. You negotiate with your spouse about chores, with your kids about screen time, or with friends about dinner plans. The core of negotiation in English is the conditional offer. This is the "if you, then I" structure. It shows that you are willing to give something to get something. Let's look at a domestic situation. We have roommates, Sam and Chloe. The apartment is a mess. Chloe wants Sam to clean the kitchen, but Sam is watching TV. Listen to how Chloe persuades him without starting a fight. Chloe stands in the doorway. She says, "Hey Sam, the kitchen is looking a bit tragic." Sam grunts and says he will do it later. Chloe knows later means never. She tries a different approach. She says, "Tell you what, if you handle the dishes and wipe the counters right now, I will order that pizza you like for dinner. My treat." Sam looks up. He is interested. He asks, "Pepperoni?" Chloe nods. Sam pauses, then stands up and says, "Deal. I'm on it." Chloe didn't nag. She offered a trade. "If you do X, I will do Y." This is effective because it focuses on the reward, not the work. Let's practice this trade-off. You are trying to convince your friend to come to a yoga class with you. They hate yoga. They love coffee. Construct an if-then offer. Did you say, "If you come to yoga with me, then I will buy you a giant cappuccino afterwards"? Perfect. You are learning that English fluency is also about psychology. Now let's tackle debating and opinions. How do you win an argument without losing a friend? The secret is hedging. Hedging means using soft language to make your opinion sound less like a fact and more like a perspective. If you say, "That is a bad idea," it is aggressive. If you say, "I am not sure that is the best approach," it is diplomatic. We are going to observe a community meeting. They are discussing whether to build a new park or a new parking lot. Mr. Thompson wants a parking lot. Mrs. Garcia wants a park. Listen to how Mrs. Garcia disagrees with him using hedging. Mr. Thompson finishes his speech, saying, "We need more parking. It is simple logic." Mrs. Garcia raises her hand. She says, "I hear what you are saying, Mr. Thompson, and parking is definitely an issue. However, from my perspective, a park would bring more long-term value to the neighborhood. To my mind, green spaces are essential for mental health. I tend to think that families would prefer a place to play over a place to park." Notice her phrases. From my perspective, to my mind, I tend to think. These are called softening openers. They protect her from sounding arrogant. She is not saying she holds the absolute truth. She is sharing her view. This invites Mr. Thompson to listen rather than defend himself. Sometimes, despite your best politeness and negotiation, the answer is still no. This is where many learners give up. But a fluent speaker knows how to push back gently. This is the "is there any way" technique. It is a way of asking the other person to be creative and find a solution with you. Let's go back to the airport. You missed your flight? The attendant says, "I am sorry. The next flight is tomorrow morning." You cannot wait until tomorrow. You need to push back. Listen to Daniel. He is at the counter. He doesn't scream. He looks the attendant in the eye. He says, "I understand the schedule is tight. But is there any way you could check if there are any seats on partner airlines, or perhaps a flight with a layover? I really need to get home tonight for a family emergency." The attendant sees he is desperate but polite. She types on her computer. She says, "Let me check our partner alliance. Actually, there is one seat via Chicago." Daniel acknowledged the problem. "I understand." But then he asked for flexibility. "Is there any way?" He also gave a strong reason. Family emergency. When you push back, always give a because. People are more likely to help you if they know why you need help. We have arrived at the final stage of our journey together. If you look back at where we started, in that rainy coffee shop with Leo and Mia, we were focused on just surviving a conversation. We were focused on not freezing up. But look at where you are now. You have a toolkit full of strategies. You know how to echo emotions, how to use back-channeling to support a speaker, how to verify details on the phone, how to tell funny stories with signposts, how to share deep feelings, and how to negotiate with diplomatic power. You are no longer just a student of English, you are a user of English. But there is one final wall we need to break down. It is the invisible wall that sits between your brain and your mouth. It is the habit of translation. Many of you are still translating. When you hear a sentence in English, you quickly turn it into your native language. Think of the answer in your native language, and then translate it back to English. This is exhausting. It is like trying to run a marathon while carrying a heavy backpack. To reach true fluency, the kind where you respond without thinking, you need to drop the backpack. You need to start thinking in English. I know that sounds impossible, like telling someone to just fly, but it is actually a mechanical process. We call this concept association. Let me give you an example. Close your eyes for a second. If I say the word apple, what do you see in your mind? Do you see the word in your native language? Or do you see a round, red, shiny fruit? You probably see the fruit. That is thinking. You didn't need to translate apple to understand it. You just saw the image. We need to do this with phrases and feelings, not just objects. When you want to express that you are tired, I don't want you to search for the word tired. I want you to feel the heaviness in your body and associate that feeling directly with the phrase, I'm worn out. To practice this, narrate your life. This is the most effective solo exercise you can do. When you are making coffee in the morning, say out loud, I am pouring the water. The steam is rising. It smells bitter. Do not translate. Just look and speak. Look and speak. If you don't know a word, don't stop to look it up immediately. Describe it. I am pouring the dark liquid energy. This forces your brain to build direct highways between your eyes and your mouth, bypassing your native language completely. This leads us to a very interesting phenomenon called English personality. You might have noticed that when you speak English, you feel a little different. Maybe you are quieter. Maybe you are more polite. Maybe you are even a bit louder and more direct. This is completely normal. In fact, it is a superpower. When you speak a new language, you are adopting a new cultural identity. You are not losing yourself. You are expanding yourself. I have students who are very shy in their native language, but when they speak English, they become very outgoing because they feel free from their past. Embrace this new version of you. Give your English self a name if it helps. When you switch to English, you are not just translating words, you are stepping into a role. You are the confident communicator we have been building in this series. Now, I am not going to let you leave this video without a concrete plan. Inspiration is great, but routine is what changes your life. I have designed a 7-day fluency blueprint for you. This is your homework for the next week. If you follow this, these skills will become permanent. Day 1 is shadowing day. I want you to find a 3-minute clip of a speaker you admire, maybe an actor, a YouTuber, or even a part of this video. I want you to listen to it with headphones and speak at the same time as the audio. Not after. At the same time. Try to match their speed, their emotion, and their melody. This trains your mouth muscles to move at native speed. Day 2 is narration day. As we discussed, narrate your routine. But I want you to focus on the connectors. Use the signposts we learned. So, I am opening the fridge. Anyway, there is nothing to eat. Suddenly, I realized I need to go shopping. Make your boring morning sound like a dramatic story. Day 3 is the emotion check. Throughout the day, ask yourself, how do I feel? But you are banned from using good, bad, happy, or sad. You must use the advanced vocabulary. I feel a bit off. I feel over the moon. I feel drained. Write these down in a journal. Day 4 is the phone simulation. This is a tough one. I want you to record a voice note on your phone. Imagine you are leaving a message for a dentist, a boss, or a friend. Practice the immediate verification and the polite sandwich. Listen to the recording. Do you sound clear? Do you sound confident? If not, delete it and do it again. Day 5 is the debate. Pick a topic you disagree with. Maybe, cats are better than dogs. Stand in front of a mirror and argue for the side you don't believe in. Use the hedging phrases. It seems to me that cats are more independent. From my perspective, dogs require too much time. This forces your brain to work harder because you are arguing a new point of view. Day 6 is the silent watch. Watch a scene from a movie without subtitles and without sound. Yes, silent. Watch the faces. Look at the body language. Guess what they are saying. Then, turn the sound on and see if you were right. This trains your observation skills, which makes you a better listener. Day 7 is the social risk. This is the graduation test. I want you to leave a comment on a YouTube video, post a status in English, or send a message to an English-speaking friend. But it has to be more than nice video. It has to be a story or an opinion using the follow-up ladder. Engage with the world. If you do these 7 things, you will not recognize your English in a week. The hesitation will start to fade. The fear of making mistakes will be replaced by the excitement of connecting. We have covered so much ground. From the rainy cafe with Leo, to the tense meeting with Mr. Chen, to the joyful news with Jessica, and the difficult negotiations with customer service. You have lived through these stories. They are part of your memory now. I want you to remember one thing above all else. Fluency is not about perfection. It is not about having a perfect accent or knowing every single grammar rule in the textbook. Fluency is about flow. It is about the ability to keep going when you make a mistake. It is about laughing when you say chicken instead of kitchen. It is about looking someone in the eye and making them feel understood. You have the tools. You have the scripts. You have the psychology. The only thing missing now is the action. Do not let this video be just another thing you watched. Let it be the start of the new way you speak. I want to thank you for spending this time with me. It is an honor to be a part of your journey. You are capable of more than you know. Trust your ears, trust your voice, and go out there and speak. I am Alex. This is English in Fluency, and I will see you, confident and fluent, in the next video. Goodbye for now.